ahead and start. So welcome everyone. For those of you who are new here, this is a quick 30-minute segment that Kim Hickey and I are doing every Friday at 11:30. We are going over market statistics, what's happened in the last week, and then we typically give you a tool or two to use during these times. So with all that being said, today we are going to talk about the unemployment. As we mentioned, we were waiting for the national unemployment numbers to come out today, in which we got them this morning at 8:30 Eastern time. And also, if you saw our earlier blog posts about equity being the bright shining star in the market right now, we're going to cover that on how it also pertains to the unemployment market, because that's the question that we keep getting over and over again, is if we're going to see the big foreclosure wave. So with all that being said, we do have a jam-packed day, so let's go ahead and get started. When is the economy going to recover? I know this is a slide, if you've been with us on the last two calls, that we've covered before, but I want to give you the most updated version. This is going to be updated with how we finished Q1, which is going to be at a negative 4.8% of the GDP. Obviously, we know Q2 is going to be big, bad, and scary. As we've said before, everyone just sit down, buckle up, and hang in there, because we're already starting to see a little bit of the recovery when it comes to the housing market. This is how COVID-19 is impacting the real estate market. We showed a slide very similar to this last week also. This is going to be on the national level from showing time. So as you can see, typical, we saw the rise going up, and then right around March 8th, we saw that dip start coming down, and then we hit the rock bottom right around the first to second week of April, and then we've seen that steady incline back up. Like I said, this slide was going to be on the national level, and here we are looking at Arizona particular data. I keep beating it into your guys' head, but I think it's very relevant to having micro versus macro data. So macro is going to be on the national level. Micro is obviously going to be here in Arizona. This is the showing time graph that I pulled this morning with the most up-to-date data. As you can see, we are following the national trends, and we are actually going to start seeing even more of an uptick, because Redfin, Zillow, OfferPad, and Opendoor have either started this week and or made a press release stating that they are going to resume business as normal. So as we are going to expect, this has been our market without those five iBuyers. So we are going to see the large uptick. Now, equity, like we stated earlier, equity has been the bright and shining object right now, because that's what's differentiating us in between now and 2008. So if we go into it, 42.1% of Americans own their home right now free and clear, which this is awesome, because this graph that just came out from John Burns Consulting is actually an uptick from the Bloomberg study that we saw a few weeks ago. So it is great. And then also 16.6% of those homeowners have between 60 and 99% equity. This is going to be the large differentiating factor between 08 and currently. This is why we're not going to see the huge foreclosure wave, and what's going to keep us afloat, because people are not going to walk away from that much equity that they've put into their homes, preventing this whole crash again. We stated it before, but in 08, real estate caused the crash. Real estate did not cause this crash. This was a world pandemic that we've seen everywhere. So going into these other chart that we brought to your attention last week also, it's just another great way to show that the equity that people do have. And people are wondering why we're saying equity, because it's the hard-earned money and time that people have put into it, especially within Arizona. We had such a hard hit come 08, and now we've seen a great economic recovery. We've diversed our economy. We've brought different industries in here to keep us afloat so we didn't repeat history again. But when you guys are talking to buyers and or sellers, primarily sellers, this is going to be a great tool to bring to their attention. It's called the PAIR report, or paraphrased as Professional Equity Assessment Report. This report is going to be a template that we can give you guys for free. We can also give you some scripts to go along with it and how to best use it. It's very similar to a CMA, but brings light to the most important thing is going to be the equity in the home. So, you know, people are asking, what is a professional equity assessment report? It is a custom evaluation of your home's cash value. By knowing what you currently owe on your mortgage and estimated value of your home, you can determine how much approximate equity you have. This is a powerful tool to help you make confident decisions in your home selling process. This is going to be just another slide that you would then plug and play. You can brand it to yourself, as you can see in the top left-hand corner. You can add your logo, customize it to your clients, and you then put all of their custom information in there. Very user-friendly also, and like I said, this is something Kim and I are more than happy to share with you guys. We do also have scripts to go along with it and best practices. So now for the daunting question, what about all the job losses? As we stated, we got to the unemployment numbers early this morning, and drum roll please, here they are. As you guys could see, we saw the uptick on March 28th when we hit the peak and or the apex at 6.9%. And currently we are 3.2, but you guys, we're starting to see that downward slope. We hit the apex of it. We're hoping we're continuing to trend down, and there's no reason why we shouldn't be. And people are going to start getting their jobs back. Distilling the data down a little bit more, 37.6% of people on unemployment currently are going to be the service industry. So bartenders, servers, hostess, bussers, anyone pertaining to restaurants. Well, as you guys know, here in Arizona, they have now, as of today, officially opened back up. They can do still takeout and dine-in. Yes, we obviously do have some restrictions, but people are going full force, which is awesome because we're going to see this number come down drastically and very quickly. Also, the next highest category is going to be retail. Retail is also opening back up. Yes, we have to do things differently, but you know, I think everyone's going to find out what our new normal is come these next few months. But just going down, we're going to see these numbers come down drastically. Another one, for example, is going to be the doctor's offices. I was at the orthodontist yesterday. Yes, we sat in our car before versus the actual waiting room, and they came out and got us, but they're still opening back up. Those are still jobs that are being pulled back from the unemployment force. Hotels, I have a friend that works for Hyatt Corporate, and they were all furloughed until June 1st, and she actually got the call 2 days ago that here in Arizona they want to bring them back earlier. So that is great news also, that they're predicting even coming back faster than anticipated. So guys, we know the news is going to be daunting these next few days. We know they're going to harp on unemployment, but just know the data that they have is almost going to be outdated because things are changing daily, and we've been showing you guys that week over week. Here's another great slide. We want you guys to remember that 85.3% of Americans are still employed. So yes, we have been harping on the unemployment numbers and how scary they are, and we're at 19% unemployment, and yes, that is horrific and tragic, but they're so large, and the majority of us are still employed, which is awesome. And as you can see on the next little over, 90% of people that are unemployed currently believe that they are going to be getting their jobs back. It's just a matter of time. There's only 10% that know that it's an indefinite decision and they need to start looking for other jobs. Also, within the portion of the people that are unemployed, 31.9 of them are all under the age of 18. So those are Jobs that, yes, I don't want to discredit them and say they're not as important, but there's not as many factors and things that go into it. Those people cannot own homes. So that makes our number even less when we're talking about people that can't afford homes anymore and the unemployment rate affecting the housing market. So with that being said, we then go into the depth versus length. Kim, do you have anything on this one?
Yeah, so we're going to see the depths of unemployment like we have never seen in quite a while, but we're not projecting that it's going to last for long. Projections are showing that it's not going to last anywhere near that of the Great Depression or the Great Recession, but that we need to be reminded that these conversations are going to be happening. And so we're going to be updating you with the most current information day in and day out and week by week so that you're prepared for these conversations with your clients, because everything in the news and in the headlines is going to be doomsday scenarios in the media. But there is hope, just like Taylor was saying, with everything starting to open back up in the economy and businesses safely opening up. People are going to be employed again. So, you know, unemployment affects our families, our businesses, our country, and it is our job to make sure that we are rallying around those people that it has impacted and support them. Looking at this quote right here from Carlos Rodriguez, CEO of ADP, we want to try and paint a picture of what we are going to see going forward. And we want to start as we start to reopen the economy. If we look at this quote, he's, you know, the CEO from ADP, the companies that process payroll in the country. And in an interview, he said, based on what we are seeing, it's possible that companies are already anticipating some kind of normalization, opening in certain states and starting to post jobs again. So what he's saying here, based on what they are seeing, and payroll processes have arguably the best inside look and inside scoop at what is happening in companies across America. He goes on to say in his interview that this doesn't mean that every single company is starting to hire again. Maybe what they're saying is that maybe they're stopping to let go of employees, which is definitely a sign that we're starting to move in the right direction. Our biggest threat right now is inventory. As we all know, we're constantly hearing that we have no inventory. We are still in a huge seller's market. This quote right here, Mark Fleming, from Chief Economist, First American, housing supply remains at historical low levels. So house price growth is likely to slow, but it's not likely to go negative. House prices right now are staying steady because the inventory is still so low. We are still in many areas in Arizona in what we call a frenzy because in certain price points because of inventory levels. And if we look at this graph right here, we see up at the top February and March sellers traffic, obviously in March. Sellers, you know, everybody kind of put the pause button and people were not putting their house in the market. They didn't want people walking through their homes and things like that. They were weary of that. And then if you look down below, we look at the buyers traffic, and buyers, especially just like Taylor showed in the showing time graph, in the past few weeks, buyers have definitely resurfaced, and these are serious buyers that are out there. What do you need to do right now? The data tells us that people are looking for two things right now. They're looking for help and comfort. If you're able to help them to navigate the current situation, tell them about that. Think like a caring human being with the resources to help millions, and then act accordingly in the mutual interest of business and society. So right now, more than ever, it's so important that we are adapting to the times and looking at our processes and the way that we're doing things and adjust them accordingly. There's 4 important things. You want to make sure that your message is simple and effective. You want to make sure that whatever information that you're sharing with your clients, that it is, number 1, up to date, but you want to make sure that you show them the sources of where this information is coming from. You want to remain hyper current on all housing information, which is what we are helping you to do. That's why we're having these calls every single Friday to keep you up to date so you can keep your clients up to date on everything, because like we said, everything in the media is doomsday scenarios. So we want to make sure that we are helping to share the information to give them correct information. You want to mix micro data with your macro data. Yes, it's important to know what's happening across the country, but it's also super important to make sure that we bring it down to the micro level here in Arizona. And you want to be using videos on social media and Zoom meetings. I loved on a Tom Ferry episode I saw last week, an idea that he shared with a bunch of agents, just getting a bunch, promoting to your database anybody that is renting right now to hop on a Zoom call and share with them why right now is such a great time to buy. And people are having great success doing these Zoom meetings. And so next, that's why it's so important right now. Just like I was saying, you want to make sure that you are updating all of your systems to make sure that they are relevant to the way that we are doing things today. So it's super important that you have a virtual listing presentation. So I'm just going to kind of share with you a little teaser of one that we have. And after this presentation, I know someone has asked if you guys are going to be getting the slides. Yes, everyone on this presentation is going to be getting all the slides after we are done. And you are also going to be getting this entire listing, virtual listing presentation that is editable, so you can put your, make it your own, put your branding on it, etc. So I would say the biggest tip I have in doing one of these virtual listing presentations is just to we need to remind ourselves that the general public, yes, we are all on multiple Zoom calls a day and have become professionals at doing Zoom meetings. Not everybody else out there is or has even been on one yet. So you want to make sure that you make the process seamless for your buyers and sellers. So you want to make sure that you send them days before detailed information on how to log on and how it works and how the whole virtual listing presentation is going to go. So they're not feeling stressed out when they get on the call, and they are at ease, so you can build their trust and make them feel comfortable and confident in selling their home. Another tip, you can go to the next slide, Taylor. Another tip I just want to share also is just to make sure that you practice. You're going to be sharing your screen, and you want to make sure that they're seeing your body language and your facial expressions, and your tone is super important. So make sure you practice this before you go and do this with any of your clients. And how's the market? This is super important that you make sure you're updating in your listing presentations to make sure the information is relevant to what's going on in our market today. Many people today, just because of what's in the media, think that we are headed for a housing crash. So that's why it's super important to be using these graphs and these slides that we're sharing with you. So then you can use them to share the correct information with your clients to make them feel comfortable and confident with their house on the market. And then just make sure to use a lot of facts and insights and the sources of where we're getting all of this information from the top, 4 economists out there. So you want to make sure that you are letting them know where, because everybody has their opinion of what's going on, but it's good to, if your client does have a different opinion as to what you're sharing, it's good to find out where they're getting their information from and to make sure that you're sharing with them where this information is coming from, because super important. And then on this last one, just to make sure that economists are predicting a rapid recovery, low inventory, which is keeping prices steady, and also sharing with them interest rates and how Fannie Mae is predicting that through 2021 interest rates are going to be staying below 3. All of this information is super important in keeping your clients up to date on what's going on today. Any questions from anyone from anything that we covered today?
I just want to reiterate that everything that Kim said is, yes, we did cover a lot of information, and we did cover 2 different tools from the virtual listing presentation and also the pair report. We will be sending you guys both of those along with all of the slides used today, so you guys can distill them down on the level for you and post them to all of your Sphere and social media accounts. So if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat now. And then lastly, if you guys aren't following Kim and I on social media, please do so. We are posting new stuff daily as we get it, so you guys can stay up to date with everything in current time rather than doing it every week. So it's whatever you guys prefer. Our social media names on Facebook will be our first and our last names. And then for our Instagram accounts, where we're posting the majority of stuff on our stories, is going to be below our emails. And I know we said we're going to keep it to a quick 30 minutes, and we did get a little bit of a delayed start. But if no one has any questions, then I believe we will wrap it up to stay with our quick, easy, and painless format. Like I said, if you guys do think of any questions once you get the presentation, please feel free to email Kim or I. We are always your resources, and we are here for you through anything, and we're always willing to help.
Just so you know too, because I've had a couple of people ask me this recently, anything that Taylor and I are posting on our stories or our social media, I got a few people asking if it's okay if they screenshot it so they can post onto theirs, and absolutely, that's why we're doing it, to make your job that much easier, so you can go on and you don't have to take the time to come up with something and reinvent the wheel. Just screenshot ours and post it on your social media so your people can see it.
All right, well, with that being said, I think we are done for today. Thank you everyone for joining, and we look forward to seeing you next week. And be looking for our email. You will get it before the end of the day. So have a great day, guys, and we will see you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.